working his way into this roster. I mean, this roster can only move up from here. And I think the most beautiful thing about this for G2 now is you've seen, and many people have talked about, the opportunity for Chicago and JKnaps to come alive, and Dries opening up things with that pass off the back wall. As soon as we call upon it, JKnaps comes through.
I mean, JKnaps and Chicago this weekend have looked probably, I would dare to say, the most comfortable we've seen them all season. And I think Gibbs might be onto something when JKnaps and Chicago tell Dries, it's like, look, man, we're just doing this for fun. But then you watch Dries on this roster and you're like, you look like you just belong with G2. So JKnaps launches another one downfield. Roldis caught out, and that's just in. JKnaps catapult.
Had a blue trail, didn't it? That pinched off a Shock.
Did it?
Yep, right off Shock.
Oh my.
Clear. Shock was going into the challenge, but instead it gets put behind him in accidental own goal there for the Soniqs. Unlucky to start things off, at least with that second goal. And G2 double their lead in the first, 20 seconds here.
Yeah, that is not how you want to start for the Susquehanna Soniqs. And, their road to get here, probably more favorable. Like some teams, I'm sure, would hope to have the road Soniqs did to get here, which was to beat RBG Esports in the lower bracket to qualify for day 3. But now you're here. And we've seen Soniqs this weekend put together some great pushes. There's been some good creativity on this team, but it's that inconsistency that I think a lot of people still kind of have their finger on, being like, are you going to get it together? Are you going to put together a consistent showing on a championship Sunday? And I think it's going to be a tough task against this G2 squad.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And, the Soniqs have had their struggles leading up into this event, and it's been pretty much a good showing from them. But like you said, they didn't have to take down massive names throughout the tournament. This would definitely be one of the biggest for them right now. A poor start, maybe an unlucky start on that second goal, but see if they can get their footing now.
G2 has done a good job of preventing the Soniqs from getting anything going early. Minute and a half in, JKnaps just gets the shot from Shock's miss, but T-Corral diving in for the stop, and Chicago wraps back around the corner. G2 continue to own those corners in the opening 2 minutes. Roldis back the other way.
Wow, what a challenge from Dries as well to win that one, to push it back towards Shock. I think Shock was a bit surprised that he had to deal with that ball, but now G2 again threatening. JKnaps, another opportunity. That one's bouncing across the net. T-Corral does usher it away. Dries, an opportunity for him. Fools two of them with the touch. Does he have a flip back? He does.
Oh!
Touch for Dries. Oh! Dries! What a way to score a third goal.
Oh, the magical maestro gets the first, uses all the boost to kill his momentum on the flip, and then the dunk to seal the deal. Does Dries belong? Yes, he does.
Oh, what a way to shut him up. Dries looking good, putting away that one. And he was all over the defense. My goodness.
You're just stunned if you're the Soniqs. Dries trying to set something up. He actually just gave that shot to a Shock, which Chicago just took away. Chicago in a tough spot, somehow able to grab that ball away. And JKnaps already, it's got the gun loaded for G2. Dries back to the side, and it will slow down Soniqs here, and all the G2 are in retreat.
What a way to start off game one.
That one might be #1 play of the day. Yeah, that's a contender for sure.
I remember Gibbs saying, man, I don't have any top plays. Hey, Gibbs, write that one down.
Oh, yeah, it's the Dries show. Shock picks up the save. Up next is JKnaps, but ends up running into the car. Dries wrapping back around. All Soniqs can do is keep G2 at bay. Chicago just misses the double. There's a lot of space for Roldis to cover, and he can't even get back to the ball.
Oh, G2 are just all over him right now. Soniqs are struggling to even break the midfield line, and when they do, G2 immediately answer back. Here comes Dries again backwards. This time Roldis cuts it off, but G2, they are just sharks in the water right now, and the Soniqs have struggled to maintain possession on either side of the field.
But they finally get a good look from T-Corral, and he nails the double, but also nailed the crossbar. Not exactly how you wanted to draw that up. Roldis off the challenge, Shock right in front of him, but they can't barrel through G2. Chicago picks up the ball, rolls it back to midfield.
Dries again wants to pick this one up himself. Tried to go under one in Roldis, but he got a piece of it. Now the Soniqs, maybe a chance to get by Chicago, and he has cut off that long-range shot multiple times now for G2.
T-Corral with a demo in front that's going to leave JNaps and Dries in a tough spot, but enough time was bought by JNaps alone to allow Chicago to come in and get the clear. Though, game one, I mean, what a statement game from G2. You came out firing 10 seconds in to score, and then you never really let up, and Dries scoring that third goal was just kind of the exclamation point in game number one for G2.
And for the Sonics, a bit devastated here in game one. It started off with a good initial play from G2, unlucky on the second one, then just completely outplayed on the third one. And since then, they haven't really generated a lot of offense. They've been going for a lot of demos. Watching Dries for most of this game, he's been demoed quite a bit. Chicago almost able to drop it down. But for the Sonics, outside of that, there really hasn't been much threat from them. I mean, sure, maybe that T-Corral shot might have been the best look they've had all game.
And it's like a lot of the transitions too, you'd have them, okay, Sonics can cut off the transition, you slow G2 down, great, but where's the follow-up? The second and third man are always retreating, they're always low on boost, and they're never ready to follow up to actually catch G2 out. JNaps adds a second exclamation point just to really hammer home how much they want to make it to the semifinals.
Man, a beautiful
They're just
first
having
game.
fun, Corelli.
Yeah,
They're just having fun.
Having fun, by the way, as G2 crushed Sonics in the first game. My goodness. And they suffocated the Sonics. I mean, there's no way for the Sonics to break out. I think at the end, G2 might have taken the foot off the gas there. But, midway through that game, G2 were circling the Sonics for most of it. And they just couldn't hold on. The Sonics couldn't hold on to possession. So for the Sonics, what do you do? Well, you've got to keep a hold of where G2 are on the field and taking away their boost, because G2 had free reign, and it was because of that boost consumption and just boost starvation that they put onto the Sonics. There was a lot of opportunity that opened up because the Sonics couldn't get back to the play.
Yeah, even right there, you see Shock couldn't grab that rebound, forcing T-Corral into a tough save. And then this play right here, Dries right on top of that ball. So many little things have to go right for you mechanically for that play to work. The dunk on top of it was just the icing on everything else that he put together. And Dries' interview yesterday with when we had him on the desk, he was saying, I honestly don't know how I'm here. Like, when you have Dries coming in for G2, like Gibbs said in pregame, you're fighting for a world championship spot. You are in the driver's seat for that if you perform well. Don't sit here and tell me that you're just sitting here having fun with Dries. And Dries is sitting here, he's like, dude, I don't know how I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But it's got to feel great.
I think it means a lot for especially any North American player to have Garrett be in an interview that when he's talking about NRG to say, oh yeah, Dries, he's cracked. He's crazy. He's super good, right? I mean, that's a huge compliment for any player to get. And I mean, there's a reason why G2 picked up. They didn't just pick up a random guy from ranked. There's a reason Dries is here, and he certainly proved it.
They really wanted to make it sound like it was just a random guy from ranked. They're like, we're exploring our options, and we're gonna have Dries in. And meanwhile, G2 commanding lead in game one and might be pushing for a semifinal here in the second regional. For the Sonics, I haven't been talking a lot about them. They had not much to show in game one, just having to play to G2's fiddle. But it's been an entertaining tune to listen to so far.
And see if they can put some things together. They have a lot of good ideas, and they set each other up quite a bit. It really has been G2 to kind of cut the Sonics off in a lot of these setups. So for G2, that has certainly paid off for them. That's why they didn't really feel a lot of pressure from the Sonics. See if T-Corral can put something together now as he gets a dunk. Here's Roll Diz, maybe a chance. Second touch from Roll Diz.
Nice.
Double comes out, back post shot, bounces off the corner. Shock easily taps that one in, and the Sonics on the board first.
This was methodical from T-Corral. Got that demo to clear a lane for Roll Diz. He just missed that double, but Shock was right there waiting, the demo clearing the path. And Sonics, they hadn't been able to put together any plays like that. There was zero creativity. They had no boost, they had no time, but now getting that first goal means a lot for the confidence as G2 push forward.
I think that was a great example of actually how much G2 trust one another to make the play. Because with that demo, it was like 5-6 seconds before you saw another G2 player, because they relied on that last man to make the play. And when you remove him from the equation, things open up when you play against G2, and that certainly happened on that play.
Shock gets this clear out. Roldiz has a look, keeps it close to him, got it off the ceiling, had the grab, bumps Chicago out of the way, but JNaps is up there quickly. And Soniqs knew it, so they stayed back. Shock can make the challenge happen, but G2 don't care. They press back to the blue half. Chicago sends one towards the box light, and Roldiz will have the catch.
Soniqs could put something together. Again, it's a fine setup. JNap's touch isn't really that great. Dries bails him out. The Soniqs putting on more and more pressure, looking a lot more confident, being more proactive, I think, in this game as well. They were very reactive to what G2 were throwing at them, and it's that command of the boost that I think is allowing them to get out. But hold on a second, Chicago. Dries got to pick it up. He puts it off the back wall, and Chicago plays it out to JNaps, who's absolutely empty.
He was looking for that midfield boost, too, and it spawned right as he left. But Chicago got the grab. T-Corel get the clear.
JNaps takes away the corner boost and again gets up to it. Soniqs didn't really get a hold of that one. G2 fight for it downfield, and JNaps, well, I'm not sure about that touch, as the Soniqs both, two players jump after it, seeing the missed touch, but it was just so awkward. They couldn't get a hold of it.
I mean, that's just like you see loose candy on the ground right there.
Yeah.
JNap's got a missed touch? That never happens. Go.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful, though. Yeah, like G2 haven't been able to maintain as much consistent pressure in game 2. You definitely don't want too many of those happening on you if you want to retain the lead.
Soniqs, you talk about the lead. They're holding on to that 1-goal lead. G2, all 4 shots have been from Chicago. T-Corel, he doesn't make contact now. Chicago, dangerous spot. Shock, he's got to make the save, but Chicago didn't put it on target. And the Soniqs, lucky to see that one not be converted.
And T-Corel can force the challenge out. Soniqs won another transition. They will grab the ball in midfield, but that touch is just too far away from Roldiz. Now Chicago's got plenty of space. Flips it over. Shock makes the great save off the crossbar. Dries coming around the backside. Back pass to JNaps. T-Corel frozen on the back wall, but he's able to take the save out to Shock.
Good pass there from Dries to keep Chicago on the attack. This one put on target from Chicago, taken away by Roldiz. G2 slowly threatening here. Dries, he has help across, gets it right on top of Chicago again, onto the dribble, the far post, saved by Roldiz. Chicago gets the double on T-Corel, but the Soniqs are out.
Oh man, G2, they're really looking for the right play in. They're not trying to force everything towards the net. Still test Soniq's ability to clear the ball off the back wall and the backboard, but don't overcommit. Don't find yourself teetering past the midfield line as JNaps picks up another save. Chicago just gonna get a light touch on it in front, got the challenge. Roldiz bit early, but he did get the ball away from JNaps. So G2 still got to find a way back in to the blue half. Another solid transition from Shock to T-Corel. Off the wall, not exactly the touch you want, but maybe so with time ticking down to 0. And Roldiz gets in front of the challenge, knocks it down off the ramp. Last chance for G2, but T-Corel is all over it, and Soniqs, an excellent answer in game 2 to the electric offense from G2 in game 1.
Absolutely. G2 came out hot, but Soniqs really started to control the pace of game here, and that makes G2 uncomfortable. That's always made G2 uncomfortable. When they aren't able to control the pace of play, they always struggle, and that's why you see 8 shots and no goals, and that is off the back of some great saves from the Soniqs as well. But G2 offense just wasn't as crisp, as sharp as you saw in that first game. And for the Soniqs, something that I noticed quite a bit was they really like to use the man downfield to pop it over the last man of G2 and just see what happens from there, right? Into the corner, into the back wall, just to make sure that that last man can't get that touch. And that's what led to the one and only goal here as well, is it being popped downfield, and then a demo, of course, coming out as well. But for the Soniqs, this is a quality game. Looking at the replays, though, you can see they got bailed out by some quality saves as well.
And G2 are really going for the outplay. At least in game 2 they were. They knew that Soniqs getting insurance would have been a little too much to come back from with how they were playing on defense. They weren't getting starved out as often. They weren't losing in midfield as often. And as a result, the scoreline was much closer. So how do G2 create more space on the pitch? Because once they got down to the blue half, it started clamping down. Well, the answer is, let's get back to the game 1 vibes, and that's JNaps scoring in 5 seconds.
Great pop by Chicago, just putting it past Shock, and I mean, it's easy as you like. Wide open for JNaps there and for G2. Soniqs getting caught on the kickoff for G2. Back to business here in game 3.
And as much as we talk about G2 not being able to close and get that tying goal last game, Soniqs still were only able to put one real quality opportunity on net. maybe a couple more that I'm not exactly remembering, but that demo play from T-Corel was the one time that they really had the space to threaten G2. Shock threatens there with that shot taken away by Chicago.
Yeah, it does kind of beg the question of what chances G2 were getting with the amount of shots they had, because you feel like they could have scored. And here comes Chicago now. He's in a 1v1 as he tries to put it on target. That one played a little bit high over the net, and T-Corel unbothered by it.
Yeah, he probably like that shot back.
Yeah. Soniqs do get out there for the moment.
Still decent here from Soniqs. Look at that follow-up. That's what they were missing in game one. Shock that time right there.
Oh,
Dries picks up the save. Shock can't fool him. Dries playing Enforcer. Bumps Shock out of the way. Roldes misses the touch. Shock a full canister, a boost to his name, and now the ball. He's got Chicago and Dries to get by. T-Corel helps out to get by one. Now in the corner, Dries able to swipe the ball away back to midfield, but Soniqs have possession right now. The good give and go here from Shock back to T-Corel. A little feint there from Roldes as he ran away from it. I like that. They need some of that. Yeah.
A little dummy touch there for Roldes. I like it, and it certainly paid off. Bought some space, bought some time. But again, Soniqs coming up fruitless as they have to play a bit of defense now against G2. Roldes, though, stares down that first man on the ball and wins it.
And that chip that just kept him in the air a little too long killed any momentum he was going to build on a wave dash. And G2 get out. It's those little things that have prevented Soniqs from really establishing a post here in the orange half. Only 2 shots on net. G2 only have 2 as well, but Chicago has a clear. JNaps has the breakaway. Roldes gets in front of it, but the bounce is favoring G2. Chicago's there. He nails it. 2-0 G2.
And it's such a structured counterattack. The pass down to JNaps, wins a good challenge, comes out to the corner. You know that G2 are ready to receive anything that bounces out towards the box. And it's tough to make a save when you got Chicago putting away a shot like that. 2-0 now for G2.
You know, G2 want every transition to be a threat on net. They want Soniqs to feel the danger as soon as they get a hard clear off the back wall, because you know there's a member of G2 waiting around in midfield. It doesn't matter who it is. All 3 of them have created value that way. T-Corel diving desperately. And 2 demos for Soniqs, but can they actually get the ball away from Dries? Shock does get it off of him, but JNaps hits a shot. T-Corel demoed off the play. Chicago up high. He's got a little bit of boost to work with, but can't get by Shock. Dangerous situation for Soniqs, and they can't get it by Dries. Midfield held on by G2.
G2 very patient. Dries really being the patient one, waiting to see where the Soniqs go with it. You can see how far back Dries is here just to make sure Soniqs can't get up and over him, but threatening are the Soniqs as Chicago does get the flick on and out. And G2 for the moment stop an attack from the Soniqs.
And Chicago just dunks it right over T-Corel. Oh, these are just dangerous plays from Soniqs, and Dries punishes Soniqs for their inability to get a clear.
Yeah, T-Corel just barely got a touch on it, but Dries dunks him to the back post, and the Soniqs just weren't ready for that. Dries, great positioning and good challenge, leads to a goal.
It was just poor touch after poor touch, and it almost felt like Soniqs were in panic mode there, because T-Corel, he wasn't in a spot good enough for the pass that came to him. The touch before that wasn't good enough for Shock to handle, and Roldes had to kind of make up for just being off just slightly on some of these touches. But that's enough for G2, and that's enough for a 4th goal maybe, is Shock diving on the stop. G2 though, they're a tough nut to crack on offense.
Oh my, is it in?
I think it is. Oh, it's off the post, but Dries has the read.
Oh my gosh, off the post again.
You can't hit the post after Dries serves it to you like that. I'm sorry. Man. That was almost insane.
And for G2, maybe an open net now on the demo. Chicago easily putting that one away. 4-0 for G2 as they are rolling once again here in game 3.
And Shock is there. He knows JNaps is trying to get over him on the play. He knows the pass is coming towards midfield, and he reacts as quickly as he can. But you're already beat in that situation. If you aren't already challenging JNaps on the wall there, you better hope that your reaction time is godly. And Shock, that time, it just wasn't enough. 4-0 for G2. While Soniqs played a good game in the second game, Corelli, that you were talking about, this continues to just be painful for the Sonics in the possession game. T-Corral on the flip reset. Roltiz can't force it through. Chicago diving in front for the stop.
But yeah, it is the possession game that's really hurting the Sonics. And G2 are just reading plays on the Sonics half faster. I mean, these balls coming out from the corners and across the field. Nobody from Sonics is reading it. Nobody from Sonics are fast enough to get there. And G2 are just so well positioned on a lot of these attacks that it makes it tough for the Sonics to break out from any attack they feel from G2.
Now just a walk around the pitch, or a leisurely drive around the pitch here in the waning seconds. Sonics might get a pick-me-up at the end, but they're gonna need some help to lift them out of this hole. G2, an emphatic performance once again. And to go up 2-1 in the series. Oh, Dries. Oh, almost found that ball. That was a nice little turnaround. But G2, can the Sonics stop them?
That certainly is going to be a great question, and I think the Sonics here are going to take a timeout to think about it, as I'm sure they have a lot to talk about here in this game. That's now, what, the second time that they've really just been blown out in a game, and G2 have looked extremely strong. I mean, the stats speak for themselves. I mean, what is that, 13 shots on the G2 side to the 4 of the Sonics? It does kind of paint a picture about what has happened here in this game, and a lot of it has come off the back of G2 again. I'm reading some of these plays on transition that the Sonics just can't keep up with.
Yeah, and again, like Sonics, they know that on the pitch. You can see that in their car language. They're trying to adjust to G2. It's just G2's, their ability to possess the ball in this series has been ironclad. They know exactly where each other are in space. They know when to pull off on the challenge. They know when to get aggressive. And that's something that I think previous versions of G2 were really missing. And like they would put it together sometimes, right, and get it going. But Sonics, man, I just don't really know where the path forward is for them, because to me, it just feels like G2 are outclassing them right now.
Yeah, and it's funny because that's with mostly Chicago and JNAPs in the final third. Dries is still staying extremely far back, and that's probably the game plan for G2. But imagine him fully integrated into the offense, because it does feel like he stays extremely far back. So for G2, I don't even think this is the final form, and they're already performing so well.
So if you're Sonics during this tactical timeout, and if you see that Dries is playing that relaxed third-man position, how can you exploit that? Because JNAPs in Chicago, you can almost always count on them to make the touch you're expecting them to. Mm-hmm. But if you can start taking a player out of the equation, is that what they have to do? Like, is there any way to exploit that?
Look what happened when they got the demo, right? In the game that they won. The demo really opened up a lot of space. But the issue with that is you've got to still get through Chicago and JNAPs, because they're so aggressive through the midfield. It's very tough for a lot of teams to get by them. And then it makes the job easy for Dries if you are able to poke it by JNAPs in Chicago to then go into the challenge. And that's kind of what makes this setup and this lineup so strong right now for G2, is they've got threats on both sides of the field, but defensively as well. That aggression really leads to suffocation for the opposition.
Now Shock punts this one downfield. Sonics would love some more offense. They have not had a lot of it. JNAPs gets the challenge in front. Now Chicago, potential break here. Tries to get underneath. Shock demos T-Corral, but Roltiz was next up on the challenge. Still the net is wide open, and JNAPs got an easy serve from his teammate and Dries, 1-0.
And think about how many times we've said that, Jorby, where there's open nets. I mean, all 3 of Sonics there are in the corner, 2 of them on the double commit and then 1 on the spawn. So for the Sonics, they've got to figure out how to stay spread out and making sure that they don't have so many of these open nets. Even with the demo, a lot of Sonics players were back and they couldn't cover that missing gap.
And maybe Roltiz waits a little longer and tries to defend the shot, so there's not as, G2 aren't as ready, because Roltiz hopped in front. He knew that shot was going to come if he couldn't get there in time. So, getting out ahead of it, I mean, that's exactly what you want him to do, right? But that actually put him in a poor spot on the demo, and Shock couldn't get back either. So it's definitely one of those situations that G2 created on the blue half for Sonics to deal with, which has been a lot of what has happened. You've mentioned it a couple of times that Sonics really haven't played that poorly. It's just when they're under duress, that's when the struggles really start coming to light. Dries mid-air demo, but can't find the goal.
the Sonics, I've noticed they've gone for a couple demos, but they haven't been able to actually hit it. Danehaps did a good job of dodging T. Corell's demo earlier. Here comes T. Corell again, wanted to get by Dries, who's been rock solid for G2 on the defensive side of things. Chicago wants to boom it downfield, but met some controversy there from Shock as he almost puts it on target. Here comes Chicago again, though, and for G2, onto the attack. Dries. Can he get a touch? He can, and for Shock, easily dealt with.
And JNABS comes in quickly, though, around the corner by T. Corell. Chicago waits. Knows Roldiz is there, but three-man passing play, no Shock. Will get down. Dries, hard clear again. Sonics would love to set up shop in midfield. They'd love to have more boost. They'd love to find a way to start, dictating the pace of the game. But JNABS gets that touch out over to Shock, who gets the clear.
Look at that high into space clear from Chicago. So much space that he actually got back to his clear. Nobody from the Sonics could get to it now. Shock can't get by JNABS. Chicago gets a demo on Shock, and again for G2, really just playing keep away rather, as the Sonics struggle to hold on to possession.
Well, they're at least able to chip G2 off of the ball. Yeah. It's certainly been abusive here in the blue half as the shots just never stop coming off the back wall, the backboard, infield passes, however you want to draw it up. G2 can put it in, and just like that, it's 2-0.
And I'm surprised that T. Corell had the touch that he did. I mean, he could have easily played that one to the corner and instead kind of threw it out diagonally to the corner of the box there for G2 to have an easy attempt on target. So a bit of a misplay, and now, a quick shot. JNABS just slips it through, and again, the Sonics caught out.
The seas parted for JNABS, and he said, "You serious? Easy shot."
Wow.
That's on Sonics. Like, I can't even sit here and say that G2 created that one. Sonics just got caught on the two corners of their halves, and they got burned for it.
I mean, that players like JNABS, Chicago, that they're going to take advantage of any opportunity you give, and one like that, it's very easy to recognize. Here comes another chance for G2. JNABS goes into the tackle, and it's another game, Jorby, where I look at the scoreboard as another one's going to drop for Dries this time. 4-0 for G2. And for the Sonics, I mean, they're not even getting touches on the ball. T. Corell's
tell me about the score.
Yeah, T. Corell's the first one to cross 100 points, and it's because he just made that save. Otherwise, nobody from the Sonics is hitting the ball.
Shock has 92 points. Most of those points coming from his two shots. Roldiz straight zeros across the board, 68 points. They have barely made contact. They have only been driving back and forth. They might win the award for largest distance traveled because they always go to the orange wall and then they immediately have to backtrack to the blue wall. And it's just been a struggle for Sonics to hang on to this ball. Even though the bumps in the demos, while they've had them, or sometimes they've missed them, they haven't been the quality ones that create value on offense.
Yeah, I mean, there's just been, hold on a second, T. Corell, he gets one here as G2 has a little lapse on the defensive side of things. Roldiz got a good touchdown field, but nobody attacking that ball from G2, and Dries just didn't read it right coming off the back wall. T. Corell there all the way. And the Sonics do get on the board, Jorby, but it might be too little too late.
You had that tactical timeout, so you don't have that to go back to give yourself some more time for the next game. But this isn't your last life if you're Sonics. But the same question is asked again. What is the answer? What's the key for Sonics? Is there no answer for Dries and G2? Because right now, they're dominating them on the pitch. Like, that goal, the only time they get it is from a misread. How many more misreads are you going to get from G2 in this match?
Right, and I think, on the flip side of that point, there's been a lot of unforced errors coming out. Oh my, wow. Look at that pass from Dries.
Oh, it's sick. Lines it up, has the target painter right on Chicago's bumpers. And yeah, good luck, Roldiz. It's nobody's fault. That was just perfect execution from Dries. Perfect power on the shot from Chicago. I know it sounds like I'm the biggest G2 fan right now with how much I'm praising them, Pirelli, but
they're crushing them in this series right now. I mean, with Sonics have one win, but G2 in the games that they've won, they're absolutely slapping the Sonics right now. It has not been close.
Not at all.
And for the Sonics, you know, again, I think there's a lot of unforced errors happening, and G2, quite simply, are outplaying them in a lot of these offensive tries, right? It's very tough for the Sonics to stay up to pace with G2 right now.
You know, Shock will get in front of this ball, but again, the time on the clock is just a formality in this game. G2 have one more victory to secure to find a spot in the semifinals versus Team Envy. That ball will touch the ground, and we will go to a potentially match-deciding game.
A lot to think about here for the Sonics. I think we've kind of said what we think is the difference maker for the Sonics, and in my personal opinion, again, a lot of unforced errors, a lot of chances left on the table, even though there weren't really that many generated. But you've got to slow down G2. So at some point between midfield and your box, someone has got to jump in front of whatever G2's setting up, because they have a lot of free reign on the Sonic side, and it just makes it tough to make those goal line saves, because you know G2 are going to stay disciplined in the rotation to keep those shots going. They're one of the best in the business at doing that, and you can't afford to give up so many chances to G2.
I still think what you said earlier holds true, that Sonics, I hesitate to say that they need to go to a specific thing to beat G2, but when all other avenues of success have failed, physical play is really the only thing that you can go back to and try again until it works. And I feel like that's the only way. You talk about JNAPS and Chicago specifically being impossible to get by in this match. They are going to need to delete them on the pitch in order to win this game. Unless we see a completely different G2 take the pitch in this next game, that is what it's going to take, because G2 are not letting go of the bag.
Yeah, and they're not going to slow down. Every single one of the G2 players have played well this series. There has not been a weak link here, and the Sonics can't say the same. They have struggled, all of them, individually at some point. So they have to come out and have a good game here. Otherwise, it's all over.
Well, Dries starts the play with Chicago, gets it over another one. Shock, nice clear, but JNAPS waits in midfield. He's got no boost. Dries helps him out, and no boost spawns for JNAPS. He's left frozen in midfield. A chance for Sonics to move, but slow coming. Not the touch you want from T-Corel. They had a chance on a breakaway, and instead, Chicago just lobs it into the net like there was never a threat.
Wow, look at this touch from Chicago. Used all of his boost to get back to it, the power to the far post. Nobody from the Sonics expected him to even have a chance. That's why nobody was in net. They figured if G2 were going to win the ball, they push it to the corner and then they'd be able to reset. But Chicago, so quick and so smart with his first touch, allowed himself to have that opportunity. And for G2, again, starting off hot here.
Oh, T-Corel. This is the part where you start wondering about the mental fortitude of the Susquehanna Sonics, is that's now 2 missed touches or just a complete whiff from T-Corel, and you expect him, he's the mechanical player of the team. I know a lot of people might point at Shock, but T-Corel is the guy usually using his mechanics to his advantage more often, and if he's not hitting the ball well, Sonics really might not have a way out here. Dries has the shot, but just missed it. Chicago's got the rebound, and Shock barely got there. Still, JNAPS is right there, and saved by Roldiz. Good defense from Sonics, and Shock bumping Chicago out of the way. They'd like a transition, but it slows down. Dries makes the challenge happen. Roldiz really close. This is a dangerous formation in the orange half for Sonics, but a little time passes, they can get reset.
And that attack that you saw from G2 as, hold on a second, they might put another one away. Here comes Dries, and he knock it down. Roldiz jumps in front of it. But that last attempt by G2, it's just like 1, 2, 3. They get one, and they're able to add on 2 more. They're always able to get everyone involved. And that time they weren't successful, but it's so dangerous. Great pass. Oh, the shot from Chicago saved off the crossbar. Chicago tries to sneak a by. Shock does it again. T-Corel on the goal line. How many saves could the Sonics make? Well, enough to put off G2, and maybe not enough.
Oh, he got it.
As Chicago finally puts it away. G2 break through again.
Well, you fire pellets at the wall long enough, and eventually you'll blow a hole through it. And Chicago goes right underneath the soft touch to beat the last defender. And that's all it takes, but you love the hustle on defense from Sonics. They just could not find a way to get the clear.
You thought, as soon as you thought the Sonics were out, one more chance come through for G2, now up 2-0. And things are getting scary for the Sonics. You feel like one more puts it out of reach for them, as G2 have been able to blow up their leads. 3, 4, 5 goals. And the Sonics really haven't had much of an answer for it.
And Dries sees Chicago, but Shock cuts off the pass. Shock starting to get a little better with the challenges. T. Corral hops right up too, but Roldiz safely back. We'll get a clear downfield. T. Corral has to come the whole way back. He's got the pass to Roldiz, but Dries gets in the way. Still a good setup for Soniqs. Shock hard against the back wall. JNAP's had it red all day, and Roldiz is the last back. Chicago and JNAP's on the 2-on-1. Chicago swipes the boost. JNAP's no boost left for him. Roldiz will get that clear out, but Dries was waiting right beyond the midfield line. Now he wants the shot, but it's taken away again. Soniqs, it's looking okay on defense, but they gotta be careful because Chicago is an elite sniper and he'll punish you every time.
And again, it's like the seas part for G2 when they come across the midfield. That's a poor touch from T. Corral, and I suppose Shock wasn't ready for it since it was a Soniqs touch. But Jorby, the scoring here in this series, 16-2. You can guess who has the 16 goals. The Soniqs have only been able to put on 2 goals here, and it shows as G2 have just gone berserk on the offensive side of things.
It gets even worse when you look at the shots for this game. Soniqs have 1 shot on net. That's the first one they get. That's not even a shot. Didn't register. Outplayed. 9 shots from G2. There's a little bit of time left, but Soniqs need to start this engine now. Throw whatever type of oil you need to get this thing cooking, because right now it's dead cold. Soniqs, one more chance here for Roldiz, up high off the ceiling, but T. Corral had to avoid a bump to get back to that ball. He's only got 11 boost in the tank. Soniqs trying to commit everything that they have. They are throwing all their chips in the middle of the table, but still G2, they hold the best cards, and there's just no way in for Soniqs despite these clears.
They're not really getting any demos either. They've been chasing down G2 defenders. Oh, Dries doesn't really get a touch on that ball. T. Corral can make something of this. The Soniqs, no opportunity there as nobody went up for it. Now Shock wants to play it out towards the top of the box. Roldiz trying to follow it up. He does. Again, no shots coming out from Soniqs. They're doing good to challenge G2, but they can't break through it. A big shot from Chicago will force T. Corral to clear it away.
And the presence from Soniqs is just to react and transition. But when they get to the corner, G2 make it almost impossible. Right there, they just shoveled the ball away from Soniqs like it was nothing. Every player got the touch they needed. Shock has to dive back for a save. T. Corral will throw it back out, but again, as time ticks away to 0, it's just a formality as JNAPS puts in the dagger on the Susquehanna Soniqs. Dries all over the pitch. Can't be stopped.
This kid almost hitting another highlight goal. That would have been incredible to use that flip off the sidewall to get back to the goal or to the ball and put it on target. G2 were able to clean it up for him.
Dries is staying back so often. Every time he's on offense, he's impressive.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Like, it's like you might as well just go with a tight rotation. Where's that crazy G2 offense with 10 shots per minute? Let's see that as we head to the semifinals. But a new challenger approaches in the RLCS. His name is Dries, and he's on G2. They move on to the semifinals.
And a strong performance by everyone on G2. Of course, we're talking up Dries because he's the new addition, but JNAPS in Chicago also performing at maximum potential, and it's showing. Absolutely obliterate this Sonic squad, and for Team Envy, they have got to look out because G2 are coming and they are hungry. They look good today.
Another regional in North America when you thought it might have gotten crazy when the Kansas City Pioneers entered the pool in Championship Sunday. Some things tend to stay the same. NRG, SSG, Envy, and G2 are our final 4 participants in the second regional. We have both those semifinals coming up for you after the break. You don't want to miss them.